Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Well, welcome to another episode of Breaking Brews. I am Commander Claw. I am bringing you 5 card suggestions for the different themes for this new commander from the Aetherdrift set. It is Pia Nalaar, Chief Mechanic. She's been a known common commander out here. She's usually in the red color pip, but today she is in temur, which is green, blue, and red. Anyway, she's a human artificer on a 2/4 body. She says whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get 2 energy counters. I want to break this down real quick. She says artifact creatures. So already in my mind, you're casting artifact creatures to attack with. And I think, and I actually know, I'm not going to lie to you. From one of my favorite sets, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, they actually have a bunch of artifact creatures in that set. So you definitely need to check out that set for low CMC artifact creatures that you can play to get these energy counters. And also, I got to put the disclaimer out here. If you think doubling season is going to work with energy counters, it will not, because you are a player. Energy counters goes to players. Doubling season says, I'll read it real quick. If an effect will put one or more counters on a permanent you control, a player is not a permanent, put twice that many of those counters on that permanent instead. So energy counters will not be doubled here. On to her second ability. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 or more energy counters. If you do, create an XX colorless vehicle artifact creature token. An XX colorless vehicle artifact token named Nalaar Aetherjet with flying in crew 2, where X is the amount of energy spent this way. So, what I'm looking to do with this commander is to make a giant fighter jet, right? And that's a vehicle. This is like a vehicle commander that you're making vehicles with. Chief mechanic vehicle. Okay, you get the synergy here. The cool thing is you can always make more artifacts. And blue does that well. Red does that well. Either you do it at instant speed, either it lasts indefinitely, or it lasts until the end of turn when you have these type of effects with red and blue and artifacts. I think she's going to be a great commander to go Voltron with and go wide. And temur colors, you can sprinkle a mix of instants and sorceries to do a bunch of combat tricks. And just to let players know, most of the games are won in commander through combat. So she's going to be pretty cool to play with. Also, I want to read the left-hand side of here. It's kind of a little bit of lore about her. Consul Pia Nalaar is the mother of Chandra Nalaar. Chandra, the planeswalker, this is her mama. This is her mama right here. And she is the wife of Kirin Nalaar. So you've seen that commander says Pia Nalaar, or I think it's Pia and Kirin. Yeah, it's a red commander. Also, she was the leader of the Renegades in Girapur. Anyways, moving on to the first suggestion of cards. Okay, we got Brudiclad Telchor Engineer here. If you never played with this guy, he is super fun because I feel like it is different from most Izzet commanders. Most Izzet commanders, in my opinion, are spell slingers. This is not that. This is creating artifact creature tokens, and you are going aggro and going wide, and you are changing whatever artifact that you have into the most devastating artifact that you have. And you will be doing that once it's paired with Pia Nalaar, Chief Mechanic, because you want to make more of those aetherjets. Literally a fleet of fighter jets. Let me explain its abilities and you'll see what I mean. All right, so Brudiclad Telchor Engineer, 4 blue and a red, 4/4 body, legendary artifact creature, Artificer. Creature tokens you control have haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 blue mirror artifact creature token. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token. So what are we looking to do here is transform all of our tokens into the Aetherjet artifact token. Why? Because you can alter the power and toughness of that Aetherjet by paying the amount of energy counters. So if you make a 6/6 fighter jet, your 2/1 Mer can become a 6/6 fighter jet. All you need to do is crew it. What else I like about Brudiclad is he gives creature tokens haste. So once you make that jet into a creature, that vehicle, into a creature, it can have haste. It's an artifact, and it's a creature token. Yeah. And what's good about Brudiclad, he actually makes creatures that you can crew with. So there are 2/1s, and your aetherjet needs a crew of 2. Synergy all right here. Just remember, when you have Pia Nalaar on the battlefield, you need to swing with artifact creatures, and they need to deal combat damage to a player in order to get 2 energy counters. So either you have more creatures than your opponents, than they have blockers, or your creatures have menace, or your creatures have flying, or your creatures have trample. You got a bunch of options. But Brudiclad, I feel like, is a great commander that works well with Pia Nalaar to enhance, actually, just to create a fleet of fighter jets. I actually like saying that. On to the next card. So, by far, this is my favorite card. The reason why I fell in love with it because of Roxanne Starfall Savant. And this card is going to go ham, bonkers, bananas, local in Pia Nalaar, Chief Mechanic. Second Harvest, 2 and 2 green. It's an instant. For each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. So, if you have, let's say, Brudiclad, for example, and you have those 2/1 MERS, they're artifact creature tokens, and you have the aetherjets, which is a vehicle token, you're making copies of each one of those. So the more you have, the more copies of each one of those that you can make. So literally, you are creating the aetherjet with its pilots to crew it. So if you have 3 already on the battlefield, you can tap 4 mana from second harvest to create 3 more of each one. Woo-hoo-hoo! At instant speed on other players' turns. Do that before your turn happens, then your opponents won't be able to cast sorcery speed board wipes. Woo-wee! Yes. Yeah. This is an auto include. So next up, I kind of want to talk about the crew mechanic down here. If you don't know what crew does, it says tap any number of creatures you control with the total power of crew or more, and this vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. I want to tell players that you can scale up your crew count. So for example, you have a vehicle that says crew 1, right? So you crew it for 1, and that vehicle creature is a 5/5. Now you can tap that creature to crew something that has crew 5. Like, think about that. You can build up. So it's not like you're stuck with, you have to go wide with the amount of creatures to tap that to crew whatever the number is. You can go from 1 to the vehicle, then the vehicle creature to the next vehicle. Kind of a slick way of crewing your vehicle. Anyways, I got to talk about Surge Hacker Mech over here on the left-hand side for 4 mana, artifact vehicle, 5/5 body. It has menace. That is going to be good for pairing with Pia Nalaar when you attack with a artifact creature, and it deals combat damage to get those energy counters. Anyways, it says when Surge Hacker Mech enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Great way of getting rid of planeswalkers. Planeswalkers can be pesky because there's not many cards that say deals 3 damage to target besides like a lightning bolt or a shock, right? And those cards are kind of almost too weak to put in your commander deck in a commander battle because it's limited to 1, and most commanders have toughness 4 or higher. Anyways, this is a good card to get rid of creatures too that are in the way. So you can swing with an artifact creature once you crew it and collect those energy counters. Really good card. Next up, we have Demolition Stomper for 6 mana. Artifact vehicle, 10/7 body. It says it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. All those chump blockers can't block this. This is a 10/7 for crew 5. Remember when I said scale up? You can scale up. So literally, if you paid 5 mana to make a 5/5 Aetherjet and you have some kind of creature to crew that, you can crew Demolition Stomper after you crew your 5/5 aetherjet. Cool way of crewing your creatures. Okay, so Pia Nalaar might be better in the 99 of Gimbal or vice versa. So let me talk about this commander here. For 2 green, blue, and a red, 4/4 body, Gremlin Artificer. I'm kind of liking that word right now. Artificer. Artifact creatures you control have trample. Okay, that's going to help us get our energy counters. At the beginning of your end step, create a 0/0 red Gremlin artifact creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named artifact tokens you control. So, what does that mean here? Let's unpack it, right? When we go to combat our artifact creatures, such as those Murs or these other artifact creatures we got, they're going to have trample, right? They're going to be able to be big and trample over and deal combat damage for us to get energy counters. That's what we want here. Per combat phase, we want energy counters. Then at the beginning of your end step, create a 0/0 red artifact creature token. Where it gets really nasty is the different named artifact tokens you control. I got them listed. Your Nalaar Aetherjet, that's an artifact token. Thopter tokens, construct tokens, treasure tokens, food tokens, clue tokens. You name the token. You name it. Yeah. So you get to put that many +1/+1 counters on this Gremlin artifact creature that can essentially crew your jets if you want to crew your jets. For example, right here, I just listed 4 different type of artifact tokens. So those gremlins are 4/4s, and they got trample. Come on, man, what we doing out here, man? This guy is nasty. Aggro, combat phase, combat tricks. Let's go on to the next card. So I got a nice little utility creature here. Smelted Charge Bug for 1 and a red, 1/3 body, artifact creature insect. It has menace. That's good. When Smelted Charge Bug enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. You're going to need to have creature cards that have energy counters so you can get energy counters for this commander. And there's other ways to generate energy counters. I didn't put them in this. They're going to be all over the precons, okay? Anyway, whenever Smelted Charge Bug attacks, you may pay 1 energy counter. If you do, another target attacking creature gets +1/+0 and gains menace until end of turn. This might be the 1 energy counter for you to get 2 energy counters. You net 1. It happens. There's going to be scenarios like that where you just need those 2 energy counters, right? Great utility creature. It's a win-win. For 2 mana, get 2 energy counters and still get a payoff of making a creature with menace. So I wanted to put a card in that it's old school. I think it's super cool. I think it's underplayed and underutilized. And I think it works well with this deck because you're making aetherjets. Creature tokens that fly, vehicles that fly, right? Gravitational Shift says creatures with flying get +2/+0, creatures without flying get -2, -0. We're not worried about attacking with our commander. We're trying to attack with our fighter jets. That's pretty cool. All you need to do is tap 3 and 2 blue. You got this enchantment that is going to hurt the board. Hurt the board. Your opponents get -2, -0 if they have creatures without flying, but you're playing with creatures with flying. Don't forget, Thopters are artifact creatures that have flying. So imagine those 1/1 Thopters becoming 3/1 Thopters. Oh, and that makes them even better to crew your pilots. To crew your vehicles. Just saying. So my last card here is for the scenario after you got to pay a bunch of command attacks and a bunch of board wipes happen, and you just need creatures to crew your aetherjets. We got Anduril, Flame of the West for 3 legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, create 2 tapped 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. They got flying. We just played Gravitational Shift, so they get +2/+0 players. Anyway, if that creature is legendary, instead create 2 of those tokens that are tapped and attacking. Man, that's good. That's good. You just be able to create creature tokens to crew your Aetherjet. That's my only worry when you build this deck. It's not having enough creatures to crew your Aetherjets. If you don't have creatures, you can't crew them. But there are cards that turn artifact vehicles into creatures. That's another thing. On to the summary. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. So, Pia Nalaar, Chief Mechanic, I think is a really cool commander because it literally is like a mechanic. You're creating jets out there to swing at your opponents, and you can make them as big as you would like. They could be 6/6s, 10/10s, whatever. And she's in the colors where you can clone those artifact creature tokens, vehicles, and make lots of them. So you're going to go wide, yeah. And also, don't forget, artifacts are good for recursion and sacking them, and you can have all types of shenanigans. So, let me know in the comment section of any other cards that you suggest for this commander. Thank you for watching. I'm Commander Claw. Peace.